say the pain is a reminder of the love that you had there. But I feel angry. Three, 3, 3. The funny thing is, I didn't want to leave the house today, like at all. But I figured if I was gonna cry, might as well cry outside. Am I right? So I guess I'll just sit here for a while until I have more to say. At least the weather's nice. People have been wishing for fall so bad, it's finally fall. It's like 77 degrees. I have jeans on. It feels nice to be able to wear jeans again, so I'm grateful for that. Grateful for nature. I'm grateful for this charm bracelet because I like the sounds it makes. Grateful for anybody who taps into this. I'm not sure exactly what it is that I want to say. I'm using my phone as a mic. I'm not even sure if it's a good mic. There's a lot going on with the road and the cars driving by and the nature. I'm sitting by the water. There's birds, there's bugs. I don't know. I came out here to get some peace of mind, I guess. I just feel like I've been dealing with some heavy emotions. And I felt like I wanted to talk about it, I guess, to remember how I feel when these things happen. Like, I have my girlfriend and, you know, she knows how I'm feeling. And she's like, what can I do? And, you know, there's really nothing somebody else can do for you when you're feeling low, when you're feeling sad about things. I have to feel these feelings on my own. And, you know, it's a nice distraction looking around and watching the squirrels hop around or the bees buzzing around or things like that. But I honestly can't even say. It feels like I'm not, like, allowed to speak on the things that are hurting my feelings. And I don't know how to speak on how I'm feeling without getting specific. I think it's mostly just this heartache. I feel it in my heart. When I think about it, I feel it from my heart to my stomach. So whatever chakras are between my heart and my solar plexus, I swear I feel something going on there too. I think I really just also feel disappointed. You know, it's hard when you keep getting let down by people in your life. And then I feel kind of crazy because there's so many things that are going good in my life. You know, I love my partner. I'm loving moving into my house. You know, been here over a year now, so I feel like I'm just starting to finally settle in. I love my job, and you know, I'm not sure what's going on in my life or what I'm doing. I feel like I'm kind of just aimlessly going without any specific direction. Sorry, I thought I was hearing somebody walking up, but it's just the squirrels hopping around. I just think that it's hard. I feel so many complicated emotions. I feel sad because of the things that are going on in my life. And then I feel upset because I'm sad, because there's other things in my life that are going fine. And I wish there was a way to like ignore this nagging pain that I feel from being upset about things. Like, I don't know how you're supposed to be happy. I feel like there's like 1,000,001 videos and books and things like that on how to be happy. And I even just finished The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F. And, you know, even with that, I feel like he was saying that it's about what you choose to care about that gives your life meaning. And if you care about certain things, it can make your whole life terrible because you fixate on those things. And I guess I just don't know how to fixate on things that make me feel bad. To generalize, I guess, I've lost a lot of people in my life, friends and relationships, and every time that I lose another person, it gets hard for the person that's inside me not to blame myself, even when I know the reasons why it ended. I think everyone plays their part in why things don't work out. So I'm not sitting around here to blame, but it's really hard when I feel like I've had situations with people who seem to me unwilling to discuss things, to work things out, to figure things out, to resolve things. And it seems like, you know, I've met a lot of people who would rather just walk away from situations, and it gets really hard to not feel like they're just walking away from me. I know there are people in my life that love me and care about me, but I think there's just, every time I lose someone, I'm reminded that I'm still alone. And I know that sounds crazy when I still have other friends and family and a partner, but you know, these people are around as long as they want to be, around as long as both of you want them to be. I can't say that I've always wanted to stick around someplace, but I feel like I find that it's really difficult for me to leave situations and people, and maybe I stay around longer than I should, and you know, they end up making the choice for me. And even with this situation I'm talking about, like, it's still up in the air, it's still unresolved, we haven't spoken, and it's really difficult to not compare it to other situations where I ended up just never speaking to those people again, and you know, kind of not knowing whether this is going to be one of those scenarios. Because you know, when things went bad with those people or we stopped speaking, it wasn't like when they stopped responding, for example, that I thought that was going to be the last time that I ever spoke to them. And you don't think it would be the next day or the next day or the next day. And you know, that suddenly a week goes by, and suddenly a month goes by, and suddenly a year goes by, and you realize you just haven't spoken to that person. And that's not without me having tried to reach out. That's not without me trying to have resolved things or have a conversation with somebody. But I know not everybody wants to have uncomfortable conversations, or some people are just done. And some people are just so done they can't even say they're done. They just leave. And I don't know how to not take people leaving personally. I feel like I've spent a lot of time after having lost people becoming more secure in myself and not thinking that I need anyone. But in the process, I still have had other people in my life in the background. And I don't know, like I said, anytime I lose someone, I just start to think, what if I lost everyone? What if me and my girlfriend broke up too? What if something happened with my parents, like my family, whatever? Like, what if it really just was me in this world alone? And I feel that way already. I feel alone in that it feels like it takes so much work to transcribe what I'm trying to say, to get other people to understand me, to understand how I feel, to try to get people to see my point of view, or even just trying to see another person's point of view. And it just makes you realize that you're alone. Even when somebody can completely understand what you've gone through, they're still not going through it with you. And even if they know exactly what it feels like, it's still not the same. You know, they can't feel the feelings with you, for you, anything. Like, my partner has lost friends too. And, you know, also without conversation, just gone. And I know that she can relate to me on that level of that understanding. But I also don't want to bring up those feelings for her by bringing up her past, by talking about the things that I'm going through or experiencing. And like I said, like, when it comes to like this being my channel or me wanting to post on social media, it feels like I also have to be like careful about what I say, because as much as I want to express how I feel and everything, like, I also don't want to upset anyone, even though people have upset me. Like, and that feels unfair in a way. I feel like I have to censor myself, filter myself. You know, when you share people in common with somebody, even, you know, you don't want to badmouth them. And, you know, this might be my people, whoever's tuned into this video, but I don't feel comfortable about bad-mouthing people. So I really want to centralize it on how I feel, but how do you talk about how you feel without talking about how somebody else made you feel? And then my spiritual side comes in and is like, well, no one can make you feel anything. But I don't know how to feel nothing. I don't know how to just turn it off. I don't know how to just not care. I don't know how to just be okay that there's things going on in my life, but I still have to keep living. I still have to wake up. I still have to eat. I still have to shower. I still have to wash my hair. I still have to live my whole life, no matter what goes on. And I think that's one of the hardest parts of experiencing feelings, is that you can't just pause your life. You can't pause work. You can't pause anything else that's going on. And it really sucks, because it feels like you need stillness. And I know partially that's what meditation is about, but I just, like I said, I can't stop going just to feel these feelings. And I have a problem with like trying to feel my feelings, because even sitting around and just feeling my feelings, it's like, okay, I sat around for 30 minutes or an hour or a day or a week or a month, however long, but the feelings for me don't go away. And I don't know if I'm alone in that. Like, I know some people, they get over things, and or at least they say that they do. I don't know exactly what they're feeling. But I feel like I'm the type of person who just doesn't get over things. And maybe that sounds pretty crazy, but I love so deeply, and I care so deeply. And I find myself heartbroken time and time again. And while I can flip to the spiritual side of it all and be grateful that I'm capable of feeling so deeply and caring and loving so much, but is it worth the pain? Like, they say the pain is a reminder of the love that you had there. But I feel angry. And so, like, I feel angry that I have to feel this way. I feel angry about losing people. I feel angry about not being able to speak my piece and say what I need to say. I feel angry that people will turn their backs from a conversation. I feel angry that I have to have such difficult conversations. I feel angry that it's hard to have such difficult conversations. I wish that things weren't so complicated. I wish conversations didn't have to be so complicated. I wish I could telepathically commute exactly how I saw things and felt things, and that another person could take that on and just understand that and feel that. But at the same time, I would love to know how that other person feels, and I would love to know what they're thinking and what their point of view on things is. But I guess I just wonder that even if you could see things through another person's eyes and, hear their thoughts and everything, would you still be able to understand them? Even with knowing, would it be possible to integrate how another person feels into what you're already feeling? Could I logically be like, oh, you saw it that way, I saw it this way, oh, okay, now I see where it got lost in translation? Or is it still very like black and white, like, no, how could you have seen things that way? I didn't see things that way at all. I don't know. I really don't know. And I guess we try to communicate via words, but I don't know. I think that like I'm having difficulty sorting between also what's supposed to be like unconditional love and unconditional forgiveness and accepting people as they are and accepting that we're different, as opposed to some people just aren't meant to be in your life. How do you know when it's time to put up a boundary versus when it's time to lose someone? And how do you know when your boundary is okay? When is it like, how do you know that your boundary is fair? Because if I say, oh, I hate the color orange, don't wear orange around me, is it not well within that person's right then, for example, to end their friendship with me because they're like, I want to be around someone that I can wear orange around? Or if they keep wearing orange because they're like, well, it's my life, I want to wear orange, and I'm still upset every time they wear orange, do I just accept those feelings of being upset? Or do I be upset at that person because I told them already how that made me feel? This is just an example. I just feel like things get kind of complicated trying to understand one another. And I feel like that's why there's so many problems in the world. Like, for some people, it seems so obvious who to vote for, or what things are right and wrong, or what crimes are worse, or just even when it comes to climate change, like there are some people who still don't believe in it, like, or still don't want to do anything about it. And like, you've got the other half of people fighting for it, even with the stuff that's happening overseas. And I don't want to say the names because Lord knows how YouTube likes to take things down. But it seems so obvious to me to be like, hey, we should probably stop that. There probably shouldn't be any more. Now I've got a bee following me. There probably shouldn't be people dying. Let me just set it there. And yet there's so many people that disagree for silly reasons and are in support of this other side. And I don't understand how the world works. And it's not for me to understand. That's for God, Spirit, whoever to understand, to make sense of. And everything is going according to some grand master plan that is going to lead us all to enlightenment and success, or to our deaths and to the end of this planet. And that's, I don't say that like lightly, but I also don't say it in a negative way, because in truth, I feel like this planet would be fine without us. Like, even in the worst case scenarios, I feel like even if all of human life were to end, even if all of animal life were to end, even if all of plant life were to end, which would be devastating, I feel like some way eventually it would have to come back, to make its way back. I guess that's the hopeless optimism in me. I just think about how this planet started, just no ozone and just volcanoes and lava, and whatever else was going on in the beginning of Earth times before anything living was even here. And yet somehow, in the billions of years of Earth's existence, life has come and so many civilizations have risen and fallen. Like, do you think that the ancient Greeks or Romans or Egyptians, any of them thought that their civilization would ever come to an end? I doubt it. And yet it did. And so I don't know of our civilization that exists now, where we're headed and what's going to happen next. I don't. And I just feel like it's because we don't understand each other. We can't agree. And I don't know why so many people are so stubborn. But then I guess I could say the same for me. On the other side of things, they probably think that I'm the stubborn one. They probably think that, well, climate change isn't happening. It's fear-mongering. It's the news, media. They're manipulating things. Like, that's always people's go-to, at least when it comes to political things. And I'm so exhausted. I'm exhausted of fighting. I'm exhausted of feeling. I'm exhausted from trying to explain. And then I feel like I just want to live my life. But it's so hard to live my life and like trying to suppress these emotions. Like, how am I supposed to live but not feel? And I guess a part of life is feeling. And I know that it was never promised that I would feel good all the time or be happy all the time. And I can't say that I expect to. But I know that it's so hard for me to get over things. And so I just wonder when something new gets added to my plate of feeling, when I'm still mourning things that happened 3 or 4 or 5, 6 years ago, and not like every day, but it's just another thing to mourn. It's another thing to feel sad about. It's another thing to be hurt about. And it's another thing that like brings up past pain. It's hard when you're feeling sad to not remember other times that you were sad. And I don't know. Even with like being in therapy for the last 3 years, you know, my therapist did a really good job at validating how I was feeling, being very understanding of how I was feeling. But it also made it frustrating because it was like, well, if you get it, if you understand, if I'm making sense to you, a licensed professional, why am I struggling in my friendships or with my family members or in my romantic relationship? Like, why am I struggling to find the same validation and understanding there? And sure, they're not a licensed professional. Sure, we're all walking around traumatized and unhealed. But like, even that whole quote of like, people who go to therapy for the people in their lives that won't. Like, even that's a saying in itself, like, of being like, oh, those people won't heal, or they're not healing as quickly, or whatever. And you're having to heal on your own. And even once you come to this place of being more healed, that doesn't mean that necessarily everyone around you is changing, especially not at the same rate. And so you're just kind of like, oh, well, here I am healed, waiting for somebody else to catch up to me. Another bug. I don't know why this bug is determined to be on my camera. I guess it's just interested in my camera. Anyway, I don't know. It feels like we live in a complicated world where we're supposed to feel our feelings and live our lives. We have to go to work. We have to take care of the people around us, but we also have to take care of ourselves. And then we feel upset or hurt, and it doesn't stop you from living your life. It doesn't stop you from having to go on. It doesn't stop anything. And I think that at a certain point, it feels like a lot to shoulder, to keep living your life and going through life while also not pretending your feelings don't exist, but in a way you do. Like, I can't go to work sad, and then if I do, everybody asks, what's wrong? And then even if you feel open enough to be able to say what's wrong, what's going on in your life, what if you're sad for the next year about this thing? Are you supposed to bring it up every day? If every time you're sad, are they like, oh, what's going on? And you're like, oh, remember that thing I told you 6 months ago? I'm still upset about that. Like, I'm still grieving that. I'm still sad.
I don't know, like everybody else's lives still have to move on. And you can only bring up a topic so many times before, no offense, it starts to get annoying to other people. And even if I said that I had the type of people in my life who wouldn't get tired of me talking about the same thing over and over again, I get tired of it. That I feel like I'm ruminating just with another person there now. And then I'm just saying the same things over and over again. So how even right now I'm saying the same things over and over again, and I guess it is to say that I don't know how to move on. I don't know how to let go. And I feel like all of those people that say just let go, unlike how I feel like I've found myself at this position so many times where I've read books or watched videos, watched movies, whatever, and it seems like part of it is a deciding. I can admit to that as far as in my research of learning how to let go it's partially a decision. You have to decide that you want to let go. But it also feels really hard to decide to let go, because if, for example, you had a really bad breakup and it's been years now, and you're like, just let it go. I've let go of the person. I've let go of feeling love for them or being in love with them. I might have moved. I might have changed jobs. My whole life could be completely different in a matter of years, in a matter of months, a matter of weeks, who knows? And yet, after, you can still feel the residual feelings, or when something similar happens, like if you go on a date with somebody else and they say something similar, or they act kind of similar to that person, like the memory is brought up again, you're triggered. And so I could say part of it is that my brain is trying to protect me. My brain is trying to protect me from feeling this way again. And so it wants to constantly remind me, hey, this is what you felt like when this happened. Watch out, watch out, watch out. But when it happens again, does it make it hurt less? Even if you walk away sooner, even if it took you 5 years to leave someone who was horrible for you, and then you get with the next person and they're exactly like that person and you leave them after a month, does it hurt less? I feel like you feel the growth within yourself. You're like, I'm glad I've grown enough to recognize these patterns. I've grown enough to know that I should step away from situations like that. But does it suddenly make you feel better? I don't know. And maybe learning is just supposed to be a painful process. Maybe being upset is just one of the things people deal with. And I don't know, maybe it's just me and everybody else has this like masterminded out, and they know exactly how to let go, and they know exactly how to move on, and they just stop thinking about those people or stop caring, whatever. And so once again, I'm brought back to it's a me thing. I feel deeply, so it takes me a long time to let go of things. It takes me a long time to grieve things. Oh, but that's a sentiment to how deeply I feel things, and that's amazing. That's beautiful that you can feel things so deeply. But what goes beyond that? Beyond the gratitude of being able to feel deeply, beyond the gratitude of learning a lesson from these situations and knowing better in the future, how do you stop feeling the pain from what occurred, even if you've learned from it, even if you've grown from it, even if you're a better person for it? I don't think that my pain has made me into a worse person. It's made me into a wiser person, a kinder person, a more grateful person. But it hasn't resolved this pain within me. And every time something similar happens like it, I'm reminded of it again. And then I'm like, oh, well, then I must just be trapped in a karmic cycle, and God just wants me to let this go and get past this. Okay, God, thanks for putting me through the same situations again and again and again until I learn my lesson. Okay. The only lesson I'm learning is that you are alone in your feelings, and alone in moving through this world. And as much as you can love another person, at the end of the day, they're an attachment. And so then I go into the spiritual work of learning how to detach. And I guess that's where I'm stuck at. I keep getting stuck at the same place over and over again. I can know better, do better, but when it comes to letting go, I'm still stuck there. And I've read so many things that are like, it's hurting you to hold on. Like, it's like holding a rope in tug of war. Like, just let it go. And if it was as simple as a physical action of just letting go, pushing a button, cutting it with scissors, whatever, I would do so. But it's a lot more complicated untangling the ties that exist between you and another person, because I think we're grown enough to know now that even if a person hurts you, they're not all bad. And even for all the people that we might perceive as bad in the world, that they also too are probably not all bad. They might still help an old woman down the stairs. They might still, take in a lost puppy found on the street. But that doesn't mean that they aren't capable of other things. And, there's still that whole hurt people. And I could say, okay, so you're hurting me because you're hurt. And then I'm hurt. And then maybe I might hurt someone, and then they're hurt, and then we're just in a world full of pain and everybody's hurting. And then that's what I feel like I'm living in. I feel like I'm living in a world where everyone is hurting. And that doesn't mean that people don't still have good days and go on picnics or hikes or swims or see a great new movie or go out for drinks with their friends or whatever. But once you're alone again, or once something reminds you of what happened in the past, like, it's almost like being there again. Even if you've made steps away from that moment. I feel like when it comes to some of the bad breakups that I've had, I don't still think about what happened to end those relationships. I don't still think about, the good parts or the bad parts of the relationship. I feel like initially during those breakups, like, I would think about like how horrible they were and how much better off I am without them and yada, yada, yada. But like I said, like, I'm capable of knowing that, like, they're not inherently a bad person. And I think in a way that hurts more. It was easier to hate someone. It is. It's easier to hate somebody for hurting you than it is to accept that someone could possibly be an okay person or not all bad, whatever, and they still hurt you. And that they were someone that you loved and cared about, and that they still hurt you. And then you just have to sit in that people are imperfect, you're imperfect, you have hurt people too. You can't really go through this life without hurting anyone or lying to anyone ever at all. Like, I would love to meet that person. But we're all not perfect, and I guess the part of me that's not perfect is letting go of the people that I love. I think I hold everyone in my heart, even the people that have left my life. But it almost causes me more pain, more grief, because when my mind brings up these people or sees something that I know they would like, or something that I know they would laugh at, or I see something that reminds me of them, what do I do? It just feels painful to me. And I don't know how people deal with that. So this video is not advice. This video is mostly, I guess, just a dump of what I'm thinking and my thoughts and my feelings, and I'm wondering if maybe what somebody else needs is validation that it's okay to feel that way. I think it's taken a long time for me to accept that this is the type of person that I am, because for the longest time I was so mad. I was mad that I felt like these people had this power over me, that I was still thinking about them, that I was still caring about them, that I was still caring about these situations. Like, oh, they've just completely moved on with their life and they just don't care at all. But even I know that's not true. Even if it is 100% true, I still feel like there's no way that you never cross that person's mind. But it doesn't mean that they're doing anything about it. It doesn't mean that it will fix anything. It doesn't mean that it would make anything better. It doesn't even mean that if you did finally have that conversation that you've been wanting to have, that it would make things better. Because even if you have a bad breakup, as an example, and years later you finally sit down and have the conversation and they're so sorry and you get the closure that you've been needing all this time, what do you do then? Because it's not like you're supposed to get back together. It's not like they're supposed to be in your life. And so I think part of it is learning to love people from afar. And I know that sounds like so cliche and corny, but I truly believe that not everybody is supposed to be in your life or stay in your life, no matter how much you love them, no matter how much you care about them. That doesn't make you entitled to that person, to their energy, to their time. And I don't know, like, how many disagreements or horrible things have to happen before you can even forget all of the good things that happen between you and someone. I don't know if you ever really do. And I guess the truth of it is that you just keep growing up. You just keep living your life. You still have to go to the grocery store when your fridge is empty, and you still have to take out the trash when the trash is full. Like, your life doesn't stop just because somebody leaves. And I think that that's what's strange for me, is that I have to keep going knowing that this person is out there, but they're not in my life. And they might be in other people's lives, and they might be being good to those people. Shit, they might be being better to those people, but that's none of your business, I suppose. I don't know. I guess we can't all get along. We can't all like each other all the time. And I don't know that even once you forgive someone, that it stops the pain of losing somebody. I think it's always going to be hard to lose someone.
I think as much as you can say F those people and boss up and become a model millionaire with the dream penthouse, earthship, homestead, tiny house, villa in Italy, lifestyle, whatever, I think you can still live your whole dream life and marry the person of your dreams and have the kids that you love and still be sad and feel some heartache when you remember those people, when you remember the people that you lost, when you are reminded that this is something at a certain point that you wanted to share with another person, or you wanted them there to be there for, and they're not. It's like death in a way. Maybe losing people is what helps prepare you for when people die. And I hate to be morbid, but it's the truth. I think the difference is just like when someone passes away, no matter how much it hurts, they're not still living their life in the sense of like they're out in this world and consciously choosing not to be a part of your world. I think for the people that are gone, many of them would love to be there, love to be in your life. And I think that's kind of sad too, to think that there are people who aren't here, who wish they could be, who aren't in your life and want to be. And there are people who are alive and living and could be in your life and choose not to be. And maybe they choose that because it's hard. I guess I'm delusional in thinking that I would rather do the work, the hard work, to try to keep somebody in my life than to let them go. And I think maybe that's part of my problem. If I can't even let you go while we are still communicating, how could I let you go when we're not? So I guess I should say this is the art of letting go. And the truth is that art is messy. And letting go isn't easy. And I think it's a complicated process. And the truth is that you might never really fully let go of somebody. And maybe you do over time. And I hate to be that time heals all wounds, but to some degree it does. And I don't know if that's really because time is doing the healing, or it just gets further and further away from whatever is the main part of your memory that you don't think about it anymore. Life goes on. And so, I don't know. Maybe there's not really a way to let go, but rather just that you have to keep living. Bye. I started to think maybe the pain is just the reminder that the person was ever there, that there was ever love there. I think it only hurts because you love them.